And now, up next, we are going to talk about our top 5. And we always have a different theme for every top 5 that we do. And this theme was thought up by one Evan Bevins. So I'll let you tell the folks what our theme is for this top 5.
Well, it started out when I was working Red Guardian into a whole bunch of decks. And I said, hey, Jesse, I might do a bonus top 5. It was going to be the 5 most satisfying cards to hit with Red Guardian.
Okay.
And I thought, why don't we just say, if we both did it, we might come up with a lot of the same ones. And then I said, let's just make it the 5 most satisfying cards to counter, whether it's with Red Guardian or however you want to. The card where you, whether you know or not what your opponent is planning, when you stop it, you're relieved and you may be a little happy at their frustration.
Okay. So looking at this top 5 and the theme that you laid out there, I didn't ask you too many questions about it. So the way I'll tell you how I looked at this.
Okay.
Is kind of similar to what you're talking about, but more along the lines of like, okay, I have stifled somebody from either doing something or I have stifled their plan altogether, which sounds exactly what you're talking about there.
Yeah. Not necessarily the most effective, because I could probably move some stuff around and say, well, this is the best thing to counter, but these are the most satisfying.
Right.
Like you thought you were going to do that?
Exactly. So I'll start. And I don't know how you did this, but I have the card that I like to counter, but I have the card that I like to use to counter with.
Yeah. I did some of that.
Okay.
Some of them, there's different ways, but yeah.
All right. Well, I'll tell you the card first. That way you can say, okay, well, hey, let's wait till so-and-so if you've got it. So my number 5, and it's interesting that this is number 5, but I think I have a lot of justifiable hate for the other top 4 that are coming up.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if this is higher on your list, but Galactus.
Oh, Galactus? I didn't even think about Galactus.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to be honest, Jesse. I did this one kind of late.
That's fine. That's fine.
The funny thing is, like the other day, once we settled on it, I was thinking about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, boom, boom, boom. That's an easy top 5, and I didn't write it down. No, Galactus probably should have been on my list.
Oh, Galactus.
Yes, it is satisfying to stop Galactus.
So my Galactus counter is with Green Goblin. That's really what I like to do, is I like to be the guy that's opening first and then throwing Green Goblin across the lane right into him right after he lands. Galactus shows up and you can't do anything because there's a card there. And how many games was I about to throw my phone when Galactus showed up and started destroying the other lanes? Galactus was a big part of the meta for quite a while and a big frustration point for me. So there you go, my number 5.
And very frustrating to have him countered, because I got Galactus later than some people, and as much as I hated getting beaten by Galactus, I enjoy winning with Galactus. So bit of a hypocrite. But yeah, I guess maybe that's why he didn't occur to me, is because he's not. I mean, he still works, but he's just one strategy that's out there, and sometimes he works and sometimes he doesn't. And But yeah, very, very satisfying, especially when you see it coming.
Oh, yes.
When you know they're playing Galactus. You know, there was a time where if I saw Wave, I knew Galactus was coming. So
the Herald of Galactus Wave.
Excellent. That's an outside looking in for me for sure. But my number 5 is a card that's been a thorn in my side for even longer than Galactus. I'm always watching out for him. He was the card I was most scared of in Snap. But man, it's great when someone drops Shang-Chi out there and your 10+ power card is still standing. A couple times I have put an Ebony Blade out there and somebody's too quick to remember that Ebony Blade can't be destroyed. And Kyra a few times, protecting those 6-cost cards. As frustrating as it is when Shang-Chi takes out your big gun, it's pretty nice when he does that dragon kick and you're still standing.
Nothing happens. Yeah, that's beautiful. All right, well, then go to your number 4.
My number 4 card, it's fun to counter when somebody else plays it, but sometimes it's fun to counter even when you're the one who played it. That's Magic.
Okay.
Staple on my best early Silver Surfer deck was Magic, and then your buddy Legion.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, I got one more turn to do this. Now, I've used Magic and had a turn 7 snuffed out plenty of times by changing that location. And sometimes I've experimented with, instead of Legion, using Nocturne to do it. But yeah, getting them all set up to deliver the coup de grace on turn 7, and suddenly, it's a 6-turn game again.
Yep, it's gone. It's gone. You could do that with so many. Storm. You could do that with, just like you said, Legion, Nocturne, and anything that would change that location. Rhino and Magic just, yep. Well, she's there. Limbo is no longer. Only showed up for a turn, and now it's gone.
I don't remember if I sent you this one. I played one, speaking of Galactus, the other day. I played Galactus on like a turn 5 or 6, and I was like, okay, and then I'll play Null or something on turn 7, but Galactus destroyed Limbo. I still barely eked that game out, but I was like, why was I counting on a turn 7 when I'm the one who destroyed Limbo?
I've been there. I don't know how many times I've forgot that there's a turn 7.
And I've done that. I've also had games where I was teeing up for a turn 7. And was like, I didn't play Magic.
Oh, man.
I've had games where my strategy depended on a turn 7 that wasn't coming, even without anybody countering Magic. But I do like to do that, whether I'm the one who created the 7th turn or not. I do enjoy taking that away and winning unexpectedly.
All right, well, my number 4 is Venom.
Oh, yeah. Good one. He's not on my list, but yeah.
So I'm sitting there thinking, like, okay, I hate Destroy. I think you could go back to a few podcasts ago and listen to me just talk about how much I hated Destroy decks. A typical Destroy deck is pretty easy to spot. You load up X-23, you load up Wolverine on the same lane, and then
Bucky, Deadpool.
Okay, they're all here. We got space for one more, and it's going to be Venom. You know that this player is going to drop Venom, and you could probably figure out the strategy from there. But if I've got initiative and I can lay out armor to start getting ready to lay out Venom, it's so fun to watch that instant retreat. Because they know that, okay, well, I can do practically nothing now. I have a full lane of stuff that's not going to be going anywhere, and that guy's won that lane, and they usually retreat thereafter. Venom can drive you nuts because you know what's going to happen after that. That's my number 4. That's Venom. My number 3 is Hazmat with Luke Cage.
Oh, yeah.
You know that Hazmat's getting laid on Wong, and I'm sitting there like... And it's fun because you could make it look like you are going to lose this match. Oh my goodness, here comes Odin, and it's a Wong, it's Mystique, it's Hazmat, it's Odin, and you are just down to -100 in each lane. And then, well, you get to reveal your card on turn 6, turn 7, whatever. And it's Luke Cage. Everything is back to normal. We're doing good. And it's so satisfying to watch them think that they are just destroying you, and you could just wait till that last turn and drop it. So, yep, Hazmat with Luke Cage, Hazmat getting countered with Luke Cage. Up there, my number 3. How about you?
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. I do enjoy that. I guess I have used Hazmat enough times and had her countered by Luke Cage that I feel the pain, so I can't quite enjoy it as much.
Gotcha. I got you.
My number 3 involves Hazmat, but she's the counter. I love to knock Deadpool out early. Somebody's playing a Destroy deck, and I've got Hazmat, and I see Deadpool out there. Just get him down to a 0, because you know what 2 times 0 is, kids? It's 0, and it's always going to be 0.
Deadpool is done.
But yeah, thoroughly enjoy that, because, I mean, now I don't have any problem with anybody using Deadpool and building him up. I've done it myself, but, when you're trying to figure out how to win, and it's like, oh, they've got a 1 cost, 16 power card or more coming at me. Sometimes I'm just like, I'm going to retreat. There's nothing I can do about it. If I destroy him, he's just going to come back even stronger. So yeah, hitting Deadpool early on and taking him out, that feels good.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Red Guardian would work on him too. By the way,
yeah.
One. Like, usually I try to save Hazmat so I can get critical mass, but it's like, if I can hit Deadpool, I'm hitting him now.
All right, then.
Number 2, are we allowed to have a tie? I've got 2 cards for number 2.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All right.
But they work the same way.
I don't think there's too many people that's going to complain.
So, 2, the cards that almost can't be beat in terms of satisfying counters, Cyclops and Thing when they're boosted up by the High Evolutionary.
Yes.
Like, oh, look, you didn't use all your power. Oh, Thing's not going to throw a fire hydrant at me, which at least that only happens once. And I know I said I wasn't going to do it, but I made this top 5 list before I complained about High Evolutionary so many other times. But Cyclops, what does he take? 2 shots, subtracts 1 from 2 different cards. It's every turn, as long as you don't use all your energy. Come on.
Right.
I never disliked Cyclops as much as a lot of people do, but when he's highly evolved, yeah, I'm over him.
Mm-hmm.
And so having Luke Cage out there, I mean, when High Evolutionary first appeared and was just running amok, that's when Luke Cage went on every deck I had.
Right.
Because sometimes, and I mean, it's a valid strategy. There's nothing wrong with using High Evolutionary. I just personally don't like it, but, that's okay. But yeah, when you've already had your power knocked down or it's coming in close and you got Luke Cage and Cyclops is just over there with his visor glowing but not shooting at you.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that.
Yeah. All right. Then my number 2 is Wong.
Oh, let's put a pin in that one. We could go ahead and discuss it, my number 1, and then wrap up with your number 1.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. So
let's go ahead and do that. Yep.
Well, I'll go ahead and since I was number 2, I'll go first and I'll let you clean up. So yeah, I've got Wong with Cosmo. As soon as somebody puts Wong down there, Invisible Woman in front, and then they think they're going to get away with Wong underneath and some other crazy crap, Mystique and something else. And I'm just like, nah, I mean, no matter what you're laying down there, I know it's going to be an on reveal. That's usually going to happen afterwards. So Cosmo's going right down there. And then when Wong pops up, Cosmo's right there to gnaw on his leg and he can't do anything. Nothing happens. I mean, essentially you taking away, if Invisible Woman's involved, you're taking away 3 on reveals after that usually. But anyway, it's Wong clearly with Cosmo.
Oh yeah. Well, but Jesse, I mean, it is wonderful to shut down Wong with Cosmo, but why limit yourself? You can also shut down Wong with Red Guardian.
Oh, that's right.
Make him a 0. So there's nothing. He brings nothing to the table. Or you can shut down Wong with Rogue, which a friend of mine did in a friendly game, like 5 consecutive battles. Like I knew he had Rogue, and I'd be like, well, I got to play Wong. And every freaking time I played Wong, he played Rogue.
Oh, that's rough.
I could not. It's just Wong is what it is.
Hey, right? It's Wong.
Yeah. But it's so, yeah, because sometimes, the way the game goes, you're lucky to get 1 double on reveal from Wong. But, if you're putting down Wong, you're expecting to use that multiple times and maybe even have Mystique or Odin amp it up. And you take out that 1 critical cog. It sucks when it happens to you, but man, it feels nice when you're the one doing it.
Yeah, you're exactly. All right. Then I guess my number 1.
Yes, sir.
Arnim Zola.
Yes.
Watching him show up there and be useless is probably the greatest thing ever. As he shows up, ties in with Venom. I mentioned he'll tie in with something later on down the line. But, you got a 19-point Venom sitting on that lane. I know what you're going to do. Okay? I've figured it out. You're going to lay out Arnim Zola at some point. So if I can get Cosmo out there just in time to stop the Venom, stop the insanity that Arnim Zola decides that he's going to try. And just watching him get dropped, be a 6-cost, 0 power space taker.
Yeah.
It's blast. It's so good. So yeah, go ahead.
I was trying to think of some other ways. I want to say that I have used like Polaris or Magneto or Arrow or somebody to yoink the target of Arnim Zola's beam away.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
That before. I can't remember, but that's nice. I mean, yes, Cosmo is the most direct way, but however you do it, anytime that little Nazi scumbag, who I've used many times, so I can't judge, doesn't get his way, it feels pretty good.
Yes, it does. All right. Well, there you go. There's our top 5 cards that we love to counter.
Well, I think most of yours were ones. Invisible Woman almost made the list because especially when Hela and MODOK were running amok, that was nice. And then, even though it's not as hard to do, man, didn't it feel good to slip a card in there past Professor X?
Oh, man. Yes, it did. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is our top 5 cards we love to counter. Let's get into plugs because the next thing we're going to do our battle. We're going to do that via YouTube, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So then let's get into plugs for the audio section of this jam. Why don't you tell everybody about Asterisk 51 and what you got going on over there?
Well, over at asterisk51.blogspot.com, I'm working my way through the Amalgam comics, the Marvel DC mashups from 1996 and 1997. That some are good, some are less good, but they're all pretty crazy and a lot of fun. You can also reviews and discussion on Free Comic Book Day offerings occasionally on Free Comic Friday, and hashtag Dollar Tree Cinema to check out the kind of movies you can find at Dollar Tree that you've heard of, that you haven't heard of, and maybe you wish you hadn't heard of.
All right. Very good. Well, hey, ladies and gentlemen, you can check out the Source Material Comics feed, which you're most likely listening to right now. Got all sorts of great shows on here. We got right here, you're listening to Snap Material, where we talk about the Marvel card game, Marvel Snap. And we do that about once a month, so you can go back in the archive and check out some of our previous discussions. We also do a podcast on here called Unspoken Issues, where we talk about 90s comics. Evan's been on there very frequently. Chris Armstrong, Derry Waite, Dean Compton, all have joined me to talk about 90s comics. And yeah, we're part of the Unspoken Decade. If you want to go check that out on Facebook, 90s Comics group. Lots of interaction, a lot of fun over there, so check that out. And then, of course, the Source Material Comics podcast, where we discuss comics, that's right, of any era. And we just recently aired our discussion on gargoyles. And if you don't know much about gargoyles, you can check out the primer that I released the day before, which will teach you, it aims to educate you about the whole Gargoyle series and the characters that are in it, the creators of that series, all to get you ready for what's upcoming in our discussion on Here in Manhattan, which it was me, Alexis Sana, and Dorian Price who got together and talked about that. So check that out, if you will. With that being said, that is Evan Bevins. I'm Jesse Starcher. Thanks for joining us this season. We'll talk to you next season. Have a good one. Bye-bye.